All right, a major development in the Clinton server scandal. You've got to pay close attention tonight. This is going to be a blockbuster hour. We here at Fox News have obtained the draft of James Comey's exoneration statement that let Hillary Clinton off the hook as it relates to the email server. The document shows that the term grossly negligent was, in fact, changed to extreme carelessness in two places. Remember, grossly negligent is the legal standard, which would have meant that Clinton broke the law. And here's the other piece of new information. In the part where Comey was talking about foreign actors accessing Clinton's server, the word likely accessed was removed. This is national security. All of this continues to prove that the fix was in from the very beginning of what is a farce of an investigation. There was the exoneration before the investigation was anywhere near concluded. And here's why. The draft statement is from May 2nd, 2016. Hillary and others, in her case, wasn't interviewed by the FBI until the 4th of July weekend. So how could Comey, how could this Hillary-loving, Trump-hating FBI agent Peter Strzok reach any conclusion about Clinton's server investigation 2 months before they even interviewed her or other key people? The fix was in. Plain and simple, we now have the evidence. And Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett says what we just laid out could mean James Comey is guilty of obstruction of justice. That is a crime. That is a felony. We'll hear from him coming up later in the program. Also tonight, Judicial Watch has uncovered an absolutely bombshell report about the special treatment that Hillary Clinton and her top aide, Huma Abedin, were given by the Obama State Department. We now have documents that were obtained through the Freedom of Information Act. It shows that Clinton and her top aide, they were given permission by the State Department to remove both electronic and physical records that they claimed were, quote, personal and, quote, unclassified and non-recorded materials. According to Judicial Watch, this includes records of Hillary Clinton's calls, her schedules, which conveniently will not be made available to you, the American people. Also, in addition to all this, the document shows that Huma Abedin was allowed to take 5 boxes of physical files from the State Department, some of which were described as, quote, Muslim engagement documents. This is beyond outrageous, and it shows that there's a different set of rules and standards for the Clintons and their allies, a two-tier justice system we have been talking about and warning you about. Make no mistake, this shouldn't be surprising, because it is all part of a pattern when it comes to the Clintons. The fix is in all the time. Fix is in against Bernie. The fix is in here. The fix is in on other issues. Removing, destroying documents, that's now just part of Clinton's standard operating procedures. Now, remember, Clinton on her own, 33,000 subpoenaed emails from her personal server. Remember, she deleted them, she acid washed them, she used bleach bit, and guess what? Her raids were smashing mobile devices with hammers. And by the way, they gave the other mobile device to the FBI. It didn't have a SIM card. It was useless. Why? Because Clinton claims they were personal between her and her husband, who doesn't email. And it was about a wedding, a funeral, and yoga and grandkids. Bill Clinton doesn't use email. Here's another wrinkle to this scandal. It's disturbing. It needs to be investigated. According to documents that Judicial Watch received, Clinton's calls, her schedules, were blocked from being made public and were allowed to be removed. Well, that's interesting when you consider this article from the AP in August of 2016. The headline, many donors to Clinton Foundation met with her at state. And the article goes on to detail, quote, at least 85 of 154 people from private interests who met or had phone conversations scheduled with Clinton while she led the State Department, they all donated to her family charity or pledged commitments to its international programs. Now, and according to a review of State Department calendars released so far to the AP, combined, the 85 donors contributed as much as $156 million, and at least 40 donated more than $100,000 each, and 20 gave more than $1 million. So is that why Clinton and Abedin wanted to remove records of Hillary's calls and schedules? This would have come out in a campaign, and people would have been asking good questions? Now, Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton, he will be here in just a few minutes. Also tonight, breaking, investigative reporter Sarah Carter is out with damning new details on this controversial NSA surveillance program that may have been used to collect information on Americans without a warrant. Do these people not hear of a U.S. Constitution against unreasonable search and seizure? That would be number 4. Sarah Carter reporting that numerous former intelligence law enforcement officials are now blowing the whistle on this potentially dangerous conduct in the way your government is conducting surveillance. And this is getting scary. According to the report, well, the officials, they were concerned over a practice that is known as reverse targeting, which, quote, occurs when intelligence and law enforcement officials use a foreign person as a legal pretense for their intended target, an American citizen. In other words, without a warrant. In other words, illegal. In other words, no Constitution, no Fourth Amendment. Now, Sarah Carter will also join us in a moment to explain how this practice may have been used as a political weapon. How often have you heard me talk about weaponizing our intelligence community, weaponizing the system of justice we have in this country, dual system of justice? Now, also tonight, we have breaking information about how the anti-Trump, pro-Clinton text messages from that FBI agent, Peter Strzok, and his FBI lawyer girlfriend, Lisa Page, were discovered. DOJ Inspector General Michael Horowitz is now revealing that his office requested those text messages from government-issued cell phones of several FBI employees that handled the Clinton email case. In this particular case, there were more than 10,000 of them, text messages between Strzok and his girlfriend, Page. Well, as of now, 375, that's it, Fox News was able to obtain. Just those show a severe anti-Trump, pro-Hillary Clinton bias. Now, these text messages include calling Trump a loathsome human being, an idiot. Strzok and Page also disparaging and mocking Trump supporters. And that's just the start of it. Now, here's what is raising all kinds of red flags, and it should. In August of 2016, Strzok texted, I want to believe the path you threw out for consideration in Andy's office, that there's no way he gets elected, but I'm afraid we can't take that risk. It's like an insurance policy in the unlikely event you die before you're 40. Fox News believes, we haven't confirmed yet, that Andy in that message is Andrew McCabe. That would be the deputy FBI director. That's the same guy whose wife, Jill, got $700,000 in donations from Democrats, including Terry McAuliffe, up to his eyeballs in this, during a 2015 Virginia State Senate run. That's an obscene amount of money for that race. We also have this exchange. Now, we edited out the middle of it, which contained a web link, and Page says, and maybe you're meant to stay where you are because you're meant to protect the country from that menace. Wow, isn't that great? They'll take that all upon themselves. Strzok replies, thanks. It's absolutely true that we're both very fortunate. And of course, I will try and approach it that way. I just know it will be tough at times. I can protect our country at many levels. Not sure if that helps. Now, why would Strzok, why would his girlfriend Page, and who we now think is Andrew McCabe, need an insurance policy against Donald Trump if he's on his way to win the election? What exactly did that mean? Now, Judicial Watch just announced that it has filed a lawsuit to gain access to all the FBI records about the removal of Strzok from the Mueller investigation. Here's what the deal is. You, the American people, you deserve answers. There's a lot at stake here. This all reeks of this deep state we've been telling you about and their effort to undermine a candidate that then became president. And the Wall Street Journal is reporting that this apparent meeting between Strzok, Page, and McCabe happened during the same time the FBI started its counterintelligence investigation into, quote, possible Trump-Russia ties. And as we've been telling you, this FBI agent, Peter Strzok, is tied to everything. And his FBI lawyer girlfriend also served on Robert Mueller's team. Here's what we know about Strzok. Before being demoted from Mueller's investigation, he was a top counterintelligence official. He was the guy that actually signed the document that kicked off the Russian investigation. Strzok's team also oversaw the handling of the anti-Trump dossier, the Russian propaganda, when it was given to the FBI. He was in charge of the interview of former National Security Advisor Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. And this is where it gets really interesting. Given Strzok's anti-Trump, pro-Hillary text messages, he also played a pivotal role in this Clinton email exoneration so-called investigation. Now, this includes sitting in on Hillary's FBI interview. Remember, that was in July. In May, they already were writing the exoneration. He was also in the room for the interviews with key Clinton aides, Huma Abedin, Cheryl Mills. And this is the most damning piece of information when it comes to Strzok. He's the guy. He's the one that actually changed the legal standard language in James Comey's exoneration statement about Hillary Clinton from grossly negligent to extreme carelessness. Well, that allowed Hillary Clinton a get-out-of-jail-free card. That allowed the fix to be in from the get-go, even though we know she broke the law. What in God's name is Robert Mueller thinking to have ever put together this abusively biased, this corrupt FBI agent and so many other people that have agendas on his so-called investigative team? Mueller claims to have, impeccable integrity, a sterling reputation. Why would anybody allow that to happen? And then again, that all seems to make sense when you consider all the Democratic donors that Mueller has handpicked to be part of the investigation. Now, these investigators have given over $50 grand in cash to Democrats, including Barack Obama and, you guessed it, Hillary Clinton. Just one donated to a Republican, and none of them gave any money to the Trump campaign. This entire investigation is corrupt to its core. It has now become a witch hunt. And it's now the time where Jeff Sessions needs to do his job. It's time for you, the American people, to understand this. According to a new poll, 54% say Robert Mueller has a conflict of interest because of his friendship, he's BFF with James Comey. And as we've been telling you, these two are best friends. And as Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett has pointed out on many an occasion, their relationship could also actually be a violation of the law. Calling Attorney General Sessions, where are you? Step up and do your job.